Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump. Today I'm doing my top 5 favourite characters from video games. Now in today's video I'll be going for some characters that I find interesting to talk to, whether it's they're giving out hints or they're here to help progress the story in some way. And yeah, so for number 5 is Cappy from Super Mario Odyssey. Now what I like about Cappy is that he basically tells you about some of the kingdoms that you go through in the game, and also helps you capture some of the enemies that you come across throughout the game. And I think Cappy's an interesting character because of how the stuff he can do. So for example, if for the enemy capture, you basically throw a cap onto, let's say, a Goomba, and then you have the abilities of a Goomba. If you threw your cap on, let's say, Bowser, then you get the ability to Bowser. And I think that's a really cool way of using Cappy, and also using the world around you, because you might not be able to do certain puzzles without using certain objects or enemies or that sort of stuff. So I think Cappy's a really cool and interesting character, and I do like how whenever you're going to a new kingdom, he gives you more new hints and tips of how to do some of the stuff you can do in the game, like rolling, long jumping, throwing your cap, that sort of thing. And I do like how he gives you some information about the new kingdoms that you're going to, and I think it's a really cool and interesting companion that you're with throughout the game. For number 4 is Lineback from The Legend of Zelda's Phantom Hourglass. Now what I like about Lineback is that when you first meet him in the Temple of the Ocean King, he starts off as this sort of like selfish, scaredy cat, greedy pirate man, and then throughout the course of the game, he basically gained more confidence in himself, to the point where at the very final boss fight with Bellum, he basically stabs Bellum in the tentacles with the Phantom Sword when Link had been captured by Bellum. And I think that's a real confidence boost if you compare Lineback at the start of Phantom Hourglass towards the end of Phantom Hourglass, and you can see those as two different characters. And I think he's really a cool character, and one of my favourite moments from Lineback is when you are on the ghost ship and you found Tetra, and when he hears about a wish, he basically gets all swashbuckly and piratey because he knows that if he helps the Ocean King, he can get a wish, and that wish could mean he can make more money and gold and treasure and stuff like that. And for number 3 is Starvin and Byron from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Now what I like about Starvin is that at the very beginning of the game, when you first meet him, he starts off as a bad guy, and then when it comes to his boss fight, once you've beaten him, he starts to become a good guy. And I think that's a real good character progression. It's kind of like how Lineback starts off as a sort of coward in Phantom Hourglass, and then and gets more confidence in himself at the end of that game. And it kind of reminds me of Starvin from Spirit Tracks, just because of how at the start of the game he wanted more power, and the only way he knew of getting more power was from the Demon King. And then as soon as he gets betrayed by Maladies and Cole, he starts to help the bad guys, the good guys out with trying to find out where they could be located, or where both Cole and Maladies are located. And I really enjoy his boss fight, and I do like his characterization. I also like his design because he's got this sort of gauntlet on, I think, his left hand, or his right, I can't exactly remember which, and he can use it as sort of like a sword, and he can use some magic, like how he protected Zelda from Maladies when she was trying to get her body back. And I do like the whole mask sort of thing that he has around his face. I think it's a really cool, interesting look to him, and we don't really get to see what his lower part of his face looks like, which I think is really cool and interesting, because that's a whole sense of mystery to him, and I think that's why it's really cool. For number 2 is Ryuuji from Persona 5. Now what I like about Ryuuji is that he's sort of like So like he's basically in Persona 5 the best friend of the main character, and I did like how the way he basically acts and talks, because like he's basically acts like this sort of like cool-headed guy, and I think he's just a really cool and interesting character because he's the first friend that you make in the game, and I do like how I do enjoy how like he's got like this sort of like fun personality around him, and that makes him a cool character. I also like his confidant, which is basically him trying to make peace with like the guys at the track team, and which because basically he was the reason why they weren't able to do track anymore. And I do like his persona, Captain Kid, which is just basically this giant skeleton man on a ship which can summon lightning attacks and I think some physical attacks, and he's quite useful in battle because he can just like because of he's a hard hitter and a tank. And I also like his Phantom Thief design. It's basically just which is basically a piratey type looking thing, and I think it's just a really cool and interesting character to or together in the game. And for number 1 is Mimir from the 2018 God of War game. Now, what I like about Mimir is that he's basically there to like tell stories and help him battle a bit. And I think with Mimir, he's basically a fun character to talk to, because whenever he tells these stories, he talks them in the boat. And one of my favourite things about these stories is that whenever you get to land and Mimir is still part way through the story, he basically just finishes us off where he was, and then when you get back in the boat, he picks up where he left off. And I do like how in battle, when you're facing against multiple enemies, he basically has your back, and I think that's really cool because he's basically just a reanimated head for basically 80 or basically I think 95% of the game. And I do enjoy his, like, I think he's got some good comedic timing as well to him, and I think he's just a very fun, interesting character, and I do like how he's helping both Kratos and Atreus get to Jotunheim, and I think he's a really cool, fun, interesting character. So that's been my top 5 favourite characters from video games. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and see you in the next video.